The world of celebrities unfolds like an endless river of light ambition and creativity, carrying us through stories of triumph, hardship, beauty, and reinvention. We begin with the Hollywood stars who shine on the silver screen because for many of them, their beginnings were far from glamorous. They were small-town dreamers, waiting tables, working odd jobs, chasing auditions until one role. One performance changed everything. Think of Meryl Streep, who once doubted herself after being told she was not beautiful enough for film. Yet she rose to become one of the greatest actors of all time. Her story teaches us that rejection is not the end, but the first step toward greatness, or Denzel Washington, who came from humble roots and with discipline. Faith and dedication became a giant of cinema, inspiring generations, not just with his performances, but with his wisdom shared in countless speeches across schools and events. And then there is Sandra Bullock, America's sweetheart, who blended humor, vulnerability, and strength, creating characters that felt like friends, family, and role models for millions. Her success also translated into philanthropy, quietly donating millions to disaster relief and education causes, reminding us that true celebrity is not only about red carpets, but about impact and kindness across the globe. In music, we meet voices that echo across time. Elvis Presley, who rose from Mississippi poverty to define rock and roll. Michael Jackson, who redefined performance. And artistry Madonna, who pushed boundaries of fashion, identity, and freedom. And then the new wave of pop stars from Britney Spears, whose early career defined a generation, to Lady Gaga, who transformed eccentricity into empowerment using her fame to uplift marginalized communities and create space for conversations about mental health and acceptance. When we shift to Taylor Swift, we see an artist who turned personal stories into universal anthems, who transformed from country teenager strumming guitars to a global icon, redefining ownership in the music industry through her fearless battles for creative rights. She became not only an entertainer, but a business pioneer and philanthropist, funding education programs, disaster relief, and connecting deeply with her fans, whose loyalty has built one of the strongest communities in pop culture. Then we travel to the cinematic comeback of Robert Downey Jr., who at one time seemed lost to struggles, yet returned to soar higher than ever, becoming the face of Iron Man and Marvel's billion-dollar universe. His story shows us that comebacks are possible, that failure is never final, only another chapter waiting for redemption in fashion. Rihanna becomes a name that transcends music. Her Savage X Fenty and Fenty Beauty changed the world by proving inclusivity is not a trend, but a necessity. She brought shades to every skin tone, bodies of every shape, and confidence to people who long felt unseen. And then there is Zendaya, the youngest Emmy winner, whose effortless grace on screen is matched by her boldness on runways, where she constantly challenges norms while lifting designers of color and telling the world that fashion is a canvas for history and progress, shifting continents. We land in Bollywood, where Shah Rukh Khan, from a middle-class background, rose to become the king of romance. His story is one of resilience and gratitude, building a career that touched billions while giving back through charities, scholarships, and hospitals. Priyanka Chopra Jonas carried Bollywood to Hollywood, breaking barriers as an actress, producer, and activist, her voice advocating education and equal opportunity around the globe. In Africa, the rise of Burna Boy and Wizkid represents music that crosses borders, blending Afrobeat with global rhythms, proving that cultural identity is not a boundary, but a bridge to new worlds. K-pop shows us another universe of dedication with BT, 7 young men who trained tirelessly and then conquered global charts while never forgetting to speak about mental health, love, and self-acceptance. Their concerts became safe spaces for millions. Blackpink, 4 women from South Korea, redefined girl power in pop, showing resilience through training, industry pressures, and global fame, yet still shining with authenticity and joy. Then the sports world reminds us that celebrities are not only singers or actors, but athletes who inspire entire nations. Serena Williams, from Compton courts to Grand Slam history. LeBron James, from Akron to NBA greatness, using his platform to open schools. Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, from humble beginnings to legends who not only score goals, but also fund hospitals, charities, and hope across continents. Olympic heroes like Simone Biles remind us that strength includes knowing when to protect mental health, showing the world that courage is balance, not only medals and controversies. Safe ones remind us that celebrities are human, sometimes stumbling, but always learning. Miley Cyrus, evolving from Disney star to outspoken artist Justin Bieber, growing from teenage fame to mature performer with messages of hope. Selena Gomez, turning her battles with health into advocacy for others, showing that vulnerability can be power. Fans connect through all of this when a celebrity replies to a tweet, hugs someone at a concert, stops to sign an autograph, or shares encouragement on social media. Those little moments ripple across lives, creating memories that last forever. And as our journey continues through the constellation of celebrities, we discover that the magic lies not only in the spotlight, but in the stories hidden behind the curtain. Because for every standing ovation, there was a moment of doubt. For every glamorous gown, there was a long rehearsal in sweat and exhaustion. Think of Jennifer Lopez, who grew up in the Bronx taking dance lessons, dreaming of stages far bigger than her block. She became a dancer, a singer, an actress, a businesswoman building an empire that shows resilience and vision, and at the same time reminding fans through philanthropy and activism that success means nothing, if not shared with the community will. Smith's story is another twist filled with charm, music, film, laughter, but also setbacks and controversy. Yet every time he comes back with honesty, humility, and a desire to grow that makes his fans root for him because they see themselves in his mistakes and recoveries. Then there is Tom Hanks, America's dad, who, with grace, authenticity, and compassion, built not just a career but a legacy of kindness on and off screen. His stories, his roles from Forrest Gump to Saving Private Ryan, define decades of cinema, and his personal reputation for generosity makes people believe that real-life heroes exist stepping into music. Once more, we see Adele, whose voice transcends heartbreak and turns it into healing, who began in London pubs and now commands stadiums, yet who still speaks with humor, humility, and relatability, connecting with fans like a friend at the kitchen table. And then Bruno Mars, whose infectious energy and dazzling performances are built on years of hard work and dedication, turning every show into a carnival of joy-inspiring fans to dance, dream, and believe. While we watch these stories unfold, we notice fashion continues to tell its own saga. Lady Gaga arriving at award shows in gowns that are statements, art pieces, metaphors about fame, freedom, and courage. Billy Porter in gender-bending couture that opens conversations and celebrates identity. Harry Styles redefining masculinity with pearls, sequins, and softness, reminding the world that fashion has no rules, only expression. Meanwhile, Oprah Winfrey remains one of the greatest examples of celebrity legacy. Her rise from poverty to building an empire of media education and philanthropy is unmatched. Her generosity includes scholarships, schools, and countless acts of quiet giving, proving that the truest wealth is measured in lives touched. And then Ellen DeGeneres, who turned comedy into compassion, creating moments of joy through her show, surprising fans, paying bills, giving gifts. Though her career also faced criticism and lessons, reminding us again that celebrity is not about perfection, but about humanity. International voices shine bright too, like Malala Yousafzai, whose courage for education made her not only a Nobel laureate, but also a cultural icon. Her story shows that celebrity is not always chosen, but sometimes born from bravery and sacrifice. Greta Thunberg represents another kind of celebrity, rising not from stages or screens, but from the streets of activism, turning a school strike into a global movement, reminding us that voices, young and clear, can change the world and inspire millions in sports. We see giants like Michael Jordan, whose determination defined basketball excellence, but also whose business ventures and mentorship show the power of reinvention, or Cristiano Ronaldo, whose rags to riches story never ends with goals but continues in hospitals, charities, and youth academies, reminding every child that greatness can come from anywhere. When we return to Hollywood, we celebrate marvels like Chadwick Boseman, whose portrayal of Black Panther became a cultural moment of empowerment. His real-life battle with illness, hidden until his passing, revealed his immense strength and inspired millions to live with purpose and compassion. His legacy remains a symbol of hope for generations. And while we celebrate heroes, we also celebrate those who teach us resilience. Demi Lovato, who turned personal struggles into music that uplifts and saves lives. Selena Gomez, who used her platform to speak about mental health, lupus, and kindness, showing strength in vulnerability. Miley Cyrus, who reinvented herself countless times, using every chapter to tell young fans, it is okay to change, it is okay to grow, and it is okay to be yourself. Fans connect to these journeys because they reflect their own. The letters written, the tears shed at concerts, the joy of being seen when an idol waves or smiles. That connection is where celebrity becomes magic. And as the years roll forward, new stars arrive, like Florence Pugh, whose raw talent makes every performance unforgettable. Or Timothée Chalamet, whose bold choices and delicate vulnerability turn him into a symbol of artistic courage. Or Zendaya, whose poise and brilliance make her a generational icon at just the Beginning of her journey together, they remind us that the future of storytelling is in good hands filled with depth, passion, and vision. And as we wander deeper into the luminous world of celebrities, we discover more stories that feel like mirrors to our own lives. Because while they dazzle us on screens, stages, and stadiums, they also stumble. They also rise, and they always remind us that persistence, patience, and passion are the true ingredients of success. Think about Keanu Reeves, whose humility, generosity, and quiet kindness have made him one of the most beloved figures in Hollywood, despite personal tragedies and heartbreak. He continues to spread positivity, treating crew members with respect, donating millions anonymously, and showing that true stardom shines brightest in humility. Then we turn to Hugh Jackman, who transformed from a theater actor in Australia to the legendary Wolverine, blending talent, discipline, and charm, while also using his platform for causes like global poverty eradication and medical research, reminding us that heroes exist both in film and in action when we look toward the music world. Once again, we encounter Beyoncé, whose journey from Destiny's Child to a solo powerhouse carved a legacy of empowerment, artistry, and cultural pride. She uses her performances to celebrate heritage, womanhood, and resilience, while also funding scholarships, supporting disaster relief, and inspiring entire generations to embrace their strength alongside her Jay-Z, whose story began in the projects of Brooklyn with challenges and obstacles. Yet he built an empire not only of music, but of entrepreneurship, lifting up communities with educational initiatives, criminal justice reform, and inspiring young dreamers to believe that no background defines your destiny. Together, they became symbols of partnership, power, and philanthropy. We then meet Shakira, whose voice and dance rhythms carried the soul of Colombia to the entire world, not just through music, but through her Barefoot Foundation that builds schools for children, reminding us that rhythm and compassion can build futures. Just as much as songs, Ed Sheeran, another global icon, began with small gigs carrying a guitar through subway tunnels and pubs, until his heartfelt lyrics and authenticity won the world, and he has never forgotten to stay grounded using his platform to support children's hospitals and charities while staying approachable and kind to fans across every continent and cinema. We celebrate icons like Leonardo DiCaprio, who not only gave us unforgettable roles, but also transformed into one of the most passionate voices for climate action, dedicating decades to environmental causes, producing documentaries, supporting renewable energy projects, and reminding us that celebrity power can and should defend the planet. Then comes Natalie Portman, who transitioned from a young actress in Star Wars to an Academy Award winner, and also a committed advocate for education, gender equality, and ethical fashion. Her career proves that brilliance on screen can coexist with depth, compassion, and activism. Across the world, in India, Deepika Padukone stands as one of the highest-paid actresses who bravely shared her struggles with depression, turning her platform into advocacy through her Live, Love, Laugh Foundation, offering resources for mental health, and inspiring millions to seek help and know they are not alone in Nigeria. Genevieve Nnaji paved the way for Nollywood to gain international acclaim, showing that storytelling knows no borders, and that authenticity can move audiences far beyond a single nation across Asia. We see Jackie Chan, a martial arts legend whose films brought laughter and action to billions, while his philanthropy quietly funded education and disaster relief projects, showing that action heroes can wield power far beyond the screen, while his journey from poverty in Hong Kong to global superstardom inspires new generations to never stop climbing. And then there is Ang Lee, who as a filmmaker bridged cultures and proved that stories told with heart resonate, universally creating masterpieces that blend East and West tradition and innovation in the new era of celebrity. We cannot ignore social media influencers who turned creativity on platforms into careers, whether it is Charli D'Amelio dancing on TikTok or Emma Chamberlain redefining YouTube authenticity. They show that new voices can rise from bedrooms, living rooms, and laptops, reminding us that the definition of celebrity continues to evolve and expand, while at the core remains the same: a human sharing a story to connect with others. And this constant expansion of the celebrity universe makes the story even richer, because for every seasoned legend, there is a rising star waiting to be discovered for every polished red carpet moment. There is a rehearsal room full of sweat and determination for every glossy magazine cover. There is a real person behind the scenes choosing whether to use fame for good or for ego. And it is in these choices that the truest inspiration lies. And as we move further through this constellation of stars, we begin to see how their journeys intertwine with our own lives. Because when a celebrity takes a stand or speaks out, it often lights a spark in someone watching at home, for example, when Emma Watson stood at the United Nations and launched the Heifer campaign. She showed that a young actress from a beloved fantasy series could also become a global advocate for gender equality, reminding people everywhere that their voice matters. Or when Gal Gadot brought Wonder Woman to life, she created a cultural shift inspiring young girls around the world to see themselves as powerful leaders and warriors in both fiction and reality. Her story of serving in the Israeli Defense Forces before Hollywood also adds depth to her strength and resilience. And then we think of Chris Hemsworth, who brought Thor to the big screen with charm and heart, yet continues to dedicate himself to environmental work in Australia, focusing on oceans and wildlife, showing that even superheroes of fiction can be protectors of reality. Moving back into music, we encounter Ariana Grande, who faced tragedy during the Manchester bombing at her concert and chose to respond with love, organizing a benefit concert that raised millions for victims and families. Her resilience, her angelic voice, and her connection to fans prove that healing can come through music. Then there is Justin Timberlake, whose evolution from boy band sensation to solo artist to actor mirrors the idea that reinvention is possible, that each chapter can bring new opportunities for growth and expression in fashion and influence. Kim Kardashian redefined celebrity itself, transforming reality television fame into a global empire of beauty, shapewear, and digital influence. But beyond that, she used her platform to advocate for prison reform, helping bring attention to cases of injustice, and showing that influence can be used for meaningful systemic change. Her younger sister Kylie Jenner built a billion-dollar beauty brand at a young age, demonstrating the entrepreneurial potential of social media and reminding young fans that creativity and branding can be just as powerful as traditional careers. Meanwhile, Gigi Hadid and Bella Hadid brought their unique presence to runways, making waves not just with beauty but also with advocacy for Palestinian heritage and open discussions about mental health, reminding us again that behind the glamour are real people with real voices. As we shift to Europe, we find Adele once again, whose concerts turn into collective therapy sessions, where thousands sing with her about heartbreak, healing, and hope, and Ed Sheeran, whose guitar chords echo across cultures, showing that music can be simple, raw, and profoundly moving in Latin America. Bad Bunny redefines masculinity with bold fashion choices and lyrics that celebrate freedom, identity, and culture, becoming not only a superstar but also a cultural force for inclusivity. Rosalía blends flamenco with modern beats, taking Spanish traditions global while inspiring young artists to honor their roots while innovating in Africa. Angelique Kidjo blends traditional rhythms with universal sounds, winning Grammys while dedicating her career to empowering African women and children. Her presence on the global stage is proof that music is a language that transcends borders in Asia. We cannot overlook the rise of J-pop stars like Arashi, who united generations in Japan, or Hikaru Utada, whose haunting voice shaped decades of Japanese pop while influencing artists worldwide. Meanwhile, in Korea, beyond BTS and Blackpink, groups like EXO, Twice, and Stray Kids carry messages of self-discovery, resilience, and unity, building communities that feel like family for fans across the world. When we think of sports, again, we see icons like Usain Bolt, whose speed electrified stadiums and who now uses his fame to support youth in Jamaica, or Naomi Osaka, who brought tennis titles to Japan while bravely speaking about mental health and racial justice, proving that strength is not only in physical achievement, but in standing for what you believe in. Across the film world, we see directors like Ava DuVernay, who opened doors for Black creators and told powerful stories that might otherwise have gone unseen, and Greta Gerwig, whose work brought new life to beloved classics while advocating for women in film, showing us that creativity is not just about telling a story, but reshaping the entire landscape for future voices. And through all these stories, fans remain at the center, because without fans, there would be no fame. Without those who wait in lines, buy tickets, send letters, or simply stream a song on repeat, the lights would dim. Celebrities remind us that their journey is shared. Their victories feel like ours, and their struggles often echo our own. And as we keep traveling through the golden tapestry of celebrity life, we uncover more journeys that inspire us to dream bigger and to face our own battles with courage. When we look at Matthew McConaughey, we see a man who moved from romantic comedies into profound dramatic roles, carving a career of reinvention while also dedicating himself to education initiatives and community service in his hometown, showing that fame can circle back to where it began, giving hope to the next generation. Anne Hathaway transformed from a young princess in movies into an Academy Award winner who uses her voice to advocate for gender equality and humanitarian issues. reminding us that grace and talent can coexist with activism when we consider Will Smith. Again, we see not just an actor, but a musician and motivational figure whose energy inspires people across all walks of life, showing that even with mistakes and controversies, growth and redemption are always possible stepping into music. Once again, we meet Katy Perry, whose colorful style and powerful voice turned her into a pop phenomenon. While her work with children's charities demonstrates that beyond the fireworks and dazzling concerts, there is a heart that beats for change. And then there is Nicki Minaj, who became one of the most influential female rappers of all time. Blending lyrical fire with bold fashion and encouraging women to embrace power, creativity, and unapologetic individuality. We also see Cardi B, whose rise from reality television to global superstardom proves that authenticity resonates with audiences who find strength in her honesty about struggles and triumphs. And while hip-hop has always been a voice for communities, Kendrick Lamar stands tall as a poet and prophet. His lyrics capturing pain, hope, and resilience. His artistry winning awards, and his presence inspiring activism. J. Cole continues this tradition, speaking about dreams, struggles, and perseverance in ways that remind fans that music can be both art and life guidance in the realm of film. Rami Malek broke barriers as a first-generation American actor of Egyptian descent, winning the Oscar for portraying Freddie Mercury. And in doing so, he reminded the world that representation matters and that talent can carry voices once unheard to the global stage. Lupita Nyong'o followed a similar path, her breakout in 12 Years a Slave winning her an Oscar, while she continues to advocate for diversity representation and women's empowerment using fashion and film to celebrate heritage and identity across Asia. We see Fan Bingbing, who became one of the biggest stars in China, and despite controversies, continues to symbolize resilience and reinvention, while others like Gong Li and Zhang Zi opened the doors for Chinese cinema to the world, making international audiences fall in love with stories from the East. In Africa, we see Lupita again proudly representing Kenya, while actors like Daniel Kaluuya, born to Ugandan, parents shine in Hollywood roles that redefine narratives for Black actors worldwide. The impact of such journeys is not limited to screens or stages, but flows into real lives where fans find courage to speak, dream, create, and believe when we think. Of philanthropy, we cannot forget Angelina Jolie, whose career as an actress is matched by her relentless humanitarian work from refugee camps to policy discussions. Her influence has reshaped the way the world views the role of a celebrity, turning attention to crises that might otherwise be ignored. Similarly, Leonardo DiCaprio, as mentioned before, stands as a relentless advocate for climate action, and his work has mobilized conversations on a planetary scale, moving into the fashion sphere. Again, we celebrate icons like Naomi Campbell, who broke barriers as one of the first Black supermodels and continues to champion diversity in fashion, and younger stars like Kendall Jenner, who carved a place on the runways of Paris, Milan, and New York while balancing the demands of fame with authenticity, showing that vulnerability is strength. Fans around the world look at these stars and find pieces of themselves within their journeys. A young dancer sees themselves in J.Lo, a small town, dreamer in Taylor Swift, a sports hopeful in LeBron James, a shy singer in Ed Sheeran. And in these connections, we see the real purpose of celebrity: to inspire, to reflect, to motivate, to remind us that even from ordinary beginnings, extraordinary things are possible, and that every human story has the potential to light up the world.